I am now honored to introduce Maria Shriver, an award-winning journalist, best-selling author, NBC News special anchor, and founder of Shriver Media and the Women's Alzheimer's Movement. Welcome, Ms. Shriver.
Hello, good morning, Michigan. Are you as cold as me? Oh my God, heaters up here next time. I am so excited to be here in the big house with all of you to celebrate you, the class of 2022. Now, let me be honest. Initially, I said no to the request to be your speaker. I said I had a scheduling conflict and that I was already planning to be here next Saturday for my son Christopher's graduation. He was part of the class of 2020, the only class in Michigan history to not have a graduation ceremony. Thank you, COVID. But now, finally, his class will have their own moment to shine here next Saturday. So, yes, I said I couldn't possibly come to Ann Arbor 2 weeks in a row. That just felt overwhelming. Like so many, I struggle to keep up with all the demands that life throws at you. But then Coach Harbaugh emailed me, and he said it was really important that I come, and you can't say no to the coach. And then President Coleman, the first female president in your university's history, called, and she said the same. When I tried to explain my scheduling conflict to her, she said, hey, I just upended my entire life to come back and lead the university during these uncertain times, so your scheduling conflict, it doesn't really work for me. So then I mentioned all this to my sons over dinner one night. I told them about the kind invitation to speak here and that I didn't think I could or would do it. The looks on their faces said everything. Why would you not do it? They said. It is the coolest thing ever to be invited to speak at the Michigan graduation. They have presidents, governors, Nobel Prize winners. What is wrong with you? I told them about my busy schedule, and they just kind of stared at me the way kids do. And then I confessed how I really felt. I said, look, the truth is I'm worried that the graduates will be disappointed if I'm their speaker. They'll say, isn't she some kid's mom? I mean, Michigan could get anyone. Why'd they pick her? Couldn't we get Tom Brady? I mean, he could talk about retiring from football and then deciding not to retire from football. Or what about Giselle? She could talk about what really sent Tom running back to the Buccaneers. Or what about Steve Ross? He could talk about how to make zillions of dollars. With all this inflation, that's what we really need to know. Or what about actor James Earl Jones? After all, he's a Michigan grad and the voice of Darth Vader. All he'd have to do is walk up here and say, I am your father, and you'd be thrilled. Well, then I realized something as I was sitting one night watching Ukrainian President Zelensky on the news. He stood there with shelling all around him and said, I am not hiding, and I am not afraid of anyone or anything. I took a beat. Yeah. As I watched him and took a beat, I said to myself, wow, Maria, you are hiding. You are scared to walk into the big house. What is up with you, girl? Come on. I mean, you've interviewed presidents, criminals, dictators. You were married to the Terminator, for God's sake. You have covered riots, conventions, inaugurations, and given countless speeches before. What are you afraid of? Not being good enough? Embarrassing your son? Are you worried you'll just be compared to your uncle, President John F. Kennedy, who first announced the idea for the Peace Corps in his speech at Michigan? Yeah. Are you afraid you won't have anything valuable or memorable to say to this extraordinary class of young individuals? All of it. All of it. I was terrified. So once I got real, I called President Coleman and said, I'm in. You see, I am a big believer in facing your fears head on. It's how I have found my own courage. It's how I have found my own bravery. It's how I have discovered my truth, and most importantly, it's how I've discovered who I really am. For example, I was terrified to enter into the news business, even though I knew I wanted to be a journalist. In fact, the first time I anchored a live television show, I threw up in the bathroom before, and I threw up when I was done. So I was so convinced I had done a terrible job and that I would never be invited back. I was also afraid to write every book I've ever written, terrified that no one would buy one, and even worse, I was concerned that I'd be humiliated in the public square. I was afraid to become the First Lady of California and be a Democrat and serve in a Republican administration. I was sure I would be ruining everything that my family had fought for and stood for. I was afraid to have children. Sure, I would mess them up. So far, knock on wood, I haven't. I was afraid to get married, and even more afraid to leave my marriage and carve out a path for myself at midlife. And for sure, I was thank you. That's a whole other speech for another time. But it's a good one. And I was certainly afraid to become an entrepreneur in my 60s. But if there's one thing I have learned since I was your age, it's that fear can show up at every stage of your life, no matter what you have accomplished. And not pushing through your fear, not pushing through that which scares you, will leave you feeling like you're not brave. It will leave you with an unrealized, unfulfilled version of yourself. And believe me, graduates, that is something to fear. Because to truly know who you are, you cannot hide who you are, not from yourself or from others. And the truth is, most people hide. So that's why I showed up today. I showed up because I didn't want to hide behind my fear. I showed up because it didn't matter whether you knew me or not, or whether I was first, second, or your last choice. That will always happen in life. What matters is that I didn't let the self-doubt keep me from being here. I didn't let imposter syndrome keep me from accepting this honorary degree from the greatest institution in our country, which my son... And on the plane here, my son reminded me that I was worthy of receiving it when I told him, I don't think I'm worthy. He said, Mommy, they wouldn't give it to you if you weren't worthy. What matters is that when I asked myself if I had something valuable to say to you, something that I wish I'd known at your age, the answer turned out to be yes. And what I want you to know today is this: fear and certainty, they're an illusion. So is the belief that you are small, or that someone else is bigger, better, or braver than you, or that someone else knows what's best for you. They don't. Your life, graduates, is best chartered by you, by your heart and your mind. You know what else is an illusion? That success is the brass ring my generation told you it was, or that you should wait to pursue that which lights you up. Do not ever wait to pursue that what makes you feel alive. And the good news is, you don't have to, because your generation has been given the gift of a shredded rule book, a wide open field. So much of what used to be called normal is out the window, and that is actually your gift. In fact, this uncertain moment that you and our world are facing, it's an incredible opportunity for you. And those fears you may be feeling, they're actually a window into your own bravery. And this moment that we are all in, this is a moment for the brave. Graduates, you are not here to do a repeat of your parents' lives or other famous Michigan grads. You are here to live your wildly authentic lives. And it's your authenticity, your determination, your creativity, and your imagination that our society needs most at this very moment. You are the generation that gets to reimagine how we will work, how we will live, and how and who we will love. You get to rebuild our institutions. You get, thank God, to reimagine and rethink our politics. And you get to redefine what success actually looks like and what it means. You get to show the world and each other how to live lives of meaning, belonging, and purpose. So how do you do all this? By really getting to know yourself, by making trusting yourself your top priority. Now that you have a degree in business or psychology or the arts, get a master's in you. Commit to being a lifelong learner of you, because as this world shifts, and it will, so will you. So get curious about your fears. Get to know what's hiding behind them and beneath them. Poke them, prod them, and test them. See fear as your great teacher and your lifelong companion instead of your enemy. Also develop a practice that you can use throughout your life to calm those fears and process your feelings and any anxiety that will come up. Myself, I turned to meditation, I turned to expressive writing, and I've turned to my faith. On more than one occasion, I can tell you that my faith has actually saved my life. I've also turned to therapy when I couldn't see my way forward. Don't let anyone ever tell you that therapy is for the weak. It's not. It is a safe space for the strong to work out what scares them. Also, be brave enough in your life to spend time alone with yourself throughout your life. Spending time alone allows you to process how the events of your life have impacted you. This is a practice that will prove helpful when things shift and rupture, which they will, and you have to know how to handle the waves. Most important, you have to believe that you can have what it takes inside of you to survive them, which you do. That's another thing I wish someone had told me at your age. I wish someone had told me that everything I needed to get through my life, to get through my fears and my self-doubt, it was already within me. And that's what I want you to know. What you need, graduates, is already within you. It is not outside of you. It's not in a job or a title. It's not in someone else that's going to come along and make you feel a certain way. You are way stronger than you can imagine. And the best way to access that strength that lives inside of you is to do everything you are afraid of, right now when you graduate and in the future. And I mean everything. So if you are feeling afraid right now or freaking out, congratulations. This is normal. To be afraid is to be human. It means you are awake and aware. In this digital age of AI, AR, and the metaverse, we must not lose sight of the gift of being a multifaceted, alive, feeling human being. I wish I had known that much sooner as well. I wish I had known that fear was more about keeping me small than keeping me safe. I wish I'd known that I was brave enough when I spoke up that my fears would actually dissolve. I also wish I had been wise enough to expand my view of bravery in myself and in others. Yes, bravery is what we are seeing in the Ukraine right now, but bravery is also being a journalist and pursuing the truth here at home and abroad. Bravery is standing up to bullies who perpetrate lies here at home and abroad. Bravery is standing up for the democracy your ancestors fought so valiantly for. And as your parents know, bravery is required to raise a child in today's world. That is an understatement. It's also required for getting old in a society that reveres youth. So be compassionate and gentle with your parents as they navigate their own futures, which they actually may be afraid of. Bravery is also having your heart broken and trying again and again at love until maybe you can get it right. It's also saying, I'm not okay and I need help. Bravery is believing you are here for a higher purpose, which you are, and then using your time here on earth to shine a light on others. And speaking of others, we need to be brave enough to drop the judgment of others. We need each other. Your generation is the loneliest in our history, and relying on others and community and each other is the solution that is hiding in plain sight. Right now, Americans are more fearful of one another than ever before, afraid to speak up, terrified of being canceled, afraid for our climate, afraid of anxiety and our own mental health. People are afraid of death, and even worse, afraid of life. Fear is indeed a deadly virus for which there is no vaccine, but the cure is within you. And by embracing that which terrifies you, you will discover the things that make you feel most alive. Now, every decision you will make when you leave here will not work out the way you hope it will. Like me, you will stumble and fall. Like me, you will get fired, perhaps. Like me, you might find yourself doubting and criticizing yourself for choices that you made that went terribly wrong. You'll wonder why you couldn't have just done it the right way. And for sure, you will probably fight your wildness. It will probably scare you, and for sure, it will scare others. But don't let it. In fact, do the opposite. Your fire and your wildness are what enable you to hold your ground as you move through life. Your fire and your wildness are what enable you to live out your values and speak your truth. And now more than ever, we need you, the class of 2022, to speak truth to power and live outside the lines that society has drawn for you. Being brave enough to live out loud is what will keep you from settling. And the truth is, most people settle. They just do. They want comfort, they want safety, they are afraid of their own brilliance and their own power. Many people stay trapped far too long simply because they're too scared to face the unknown, too scared to hurt someone's feelings, too scared to leave and move on. Their fears get the best of them. I get that. But Michigan graduates, you are not most people. You are the most well-educated, diverse, technically savvy generation in this country's history. You are a generation in pursuit of the truth. And we need your energy, your work ethic, your creativity, and your drive. We need you to save our democracy and save our climate. We need you to discover new medicines that can cure Alzheimer's, dementia, MS, cancer, and Parkinson's. And we need you to unite our country that so desperately needs to be united with your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. Because all of this work that I have spoken about today, it's for those who are afraid but take action anyway. It will be accomplished by those who are brave, by those who are bold, and those who are blue. Many years ago, my father, Sergeant Shriver, came here to this university to sign up the very first Peace Corps volunteers. He knew that the students here at Michigan wanted to be a part of changing the world. He was right about you then, and I am right about you today. So graduates, I want you to go forth and lean into the uncertainty and the chaos of this moment. Do not allow it to make you scared or hold you back. At times, you will find yourself alone. But when you do, I hope you will remember this. that most people's stories are a lot like mine. They're filled with great joy, great accomplishments, beautiful families, beauty, and peace. But they are also filled with great heartbreak, unimaginable loss and grief, major stumbles, and dark, dark lows. So whenever you find yourself in one of those dark moments when you can't see forward, I hope you will remember that every life has multiple chapters, and that another one always awaits you on the other side. And remember, you are strong enough to get there. Trust me, graduates, you've got this, no doubt about it. So put your shoulders back, hold your heads up high, and walk through hell like you own the place. Because trust me, life will feel like hell a lot of the time. But go forth and believe in yourself and act as if this world awaits your authenticity, your wildness, your guts, and your bravery, because it does. And I for one, cannot wait to see you light the place on fire. Congratulations, and go Blue!